I don't think so, but we certainly appreciate y'all being here. And again, I'd like to welcome all of you here and ask you to do me a favor, is if you will reach down and turn off your cell phones, or at least put them on silent. And I know you did it about 10 minutes ago, but if you would check it. And again, I'd like to welcome all of you here.
You sound pretty good.
Well, we haven't gotten all of our kinks out yet, but it's good to know that that's working. And but if you would silence them, if they ring, if you'll go out in the corridor, answer the phone, come back in, and you can have your seat back. And having said all of that, then we're going to start this commission meeting. Going to call on Commissioner Stringer, if he will, give the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, and if y'all all stand and join us.
Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you so much for all the blessings you give us all every day, Lord. We are so thankful for your love and your grace and your mercy. Pray, Lord, that you will be with everyone here today, Lord, and every person here and every family represented. Pray that you'll be with this commission and help each of us to make good decisions and to remember you and the things that we do and say. I pray, Lord, that you'll bless our law enforcement, fire, EMS, first responders, our military. Bless all them, bless their families, Lord. Keep them safe. We ask this, Lord, ask you to remember us and remember you in everything we do, Lord. We ask all this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, there's a lot of times that we're asked to do things, and we really enjoy doing these things. But we have some special guests in the audience with us tonight. I don't know if you've read about them, gone and watched them play football. I'm talking about Southeast Bulloch ladies flag football. In 3 years, they have not lost a game.
Wow.
Now, we're going to have them gather up. Mr. Dow Kennedy is going to tell us what to do. And we're going to step down. We're going to step down and have a picture made with them.
If we can get commissioners to come back here behind the podium, we're going to get players and coaches in front of the podium. And I'm going to try to act like Moses and part of the sea in between y'all, back up far enough.
I'm doing great. Right here? No, don't do that.
Let's see. Let's have one count, two singers. Don't we have two singers? Three? All right. Can I squeeze in between y'all? Because I'm just to read a proclamation for you. Okay, if y'all will give me your attention, I'm going to read this proclamation and listen to it, because it has some very meaningful words in here and some accomplishments that these young ladies and the male coaches that we have that has worked with them all also. It says, whereas the Southeast Bulloch Lady Jackets flag football team have now completed their third season of the GHSA competition and captured their third Division I state championship. And whereas the Lady Jackets have now compiled a perfect 62-0 record in those seasons, and whereas the Lady Jackets have captured their 3 consecutive titles with shutouts of 20-0 in 21, 13-0 in 22, and 14-0 in 2023. The Lady Jackets are currently ranked 4th in the entire nation by MaxPreps.com, and their head coach, Marcy Cochran, and assistant coach, Nick Cochran, are considered to be the sports ambassadors across the state and have dedicated time, effort, and energy to help other schools establish flag football programs. And the Lady Jacket players and coaches have achieved a reputation for success and sportsmanship that elevates the brand of Southeast Bulloch High School, Bulloch County Schools, and the Bulloch County community overall. Now therefore be it resolved that the Bulloch County Board of Commissioners recognize and honor the Southeast Bulloch Lady Jackets flag football team on their latest state championship and wish them success in continuing their dominance across the state. And we've all signed this, and we would like to present this to coaches tonight. And I hope all of y'all listen to that. That's something that not a lot of people can say they've ever done, is done anything for 3 years in a row and never lost. And there's one more accomplishment that you can do. Go 4 years in a row without a loss.
In the center, and
You
y'all
want
kind
me
of
to
hold it.
just hold it and I'll do it?
Okay, that's fine.
Y'all hold it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Make sure to see everybody.
Can we hold on 1 second? We got one more.
Oh,
Sorry.
you take yours. Commissioner Rush, I'm gonna get you to move over just a little. There you go.
Let's get you 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 more, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you all very much.
I know, that was confusing.
Okay, I think everyone is out, so going to now call on Ms. Lee. If you'll call the roll of the commissioners, please.
I, Tasha Lee, present as Administrative Specialist for the Bulloch County Board of Commissioners, hereby call the roll for those on the governing body. All those present shall answer by saying aye. Chairman Roy Thompson.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Kirk Deal.
Aye.
Commissioner Anthony Simmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Jappy Stranger. Hereby call the roll for those on the governing body.
Okay, still working.
Commissioner Timmy Rushing.
Aye.
Commissioner Toby Connor.
Aye.
Commissioner Ray Mosley. I hereby determine that we have all members of the Board of Commissioners present. Therefore, we have a quorum to conduct business for the good of the citizens of Bulloch County. I now yield the floor to the chairman.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is the zoning agenda, and we have 4 items on it, and from the commissioners, I need a motion to approve the zoning agenda.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. We'll move right on to zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
if y'all would do one thing with us, you can tell all the kinks are not worked out. Just bear with us and, hopefully we'll have it squared away in a few minutes. Thank you.
I'm not sure if this will work, Mr. Chairman, but one suggestion, since since Commissioner Mosley, I think, is on Teams, maybe if we turn our mics off if we're not talking, and maybe that'll help reduce some of the feedback.
Yes, that's what's happening. Commissioner Mosley is called in right now, and we're getting feedback between the two. So muting the mics may work, it may not. This is new to all of us, so just bear with us.
Unless you're talking, just leave them off.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 tonight is a rezone request, which is a carryover from your last zoning meeting, in which the applicant, KB Reynolds LLC, who originally submitted a rezone application for 75.77 acres from an Ag 5 to an R25 residential zoning for the purpose of a single-family residential subdivision. It's located at Brooklet Denmark Road and Mincy Road. If you'll recall, this application involved requesting lots for 71 dwelling units, and then from that, they've since come back from involved requesting lots for 71.
Just keep that muted.
Yeah.
Click back on that.
So this item was tabled from the last zoning meeting, and if you can get to the, okay. This was the property, again, if you'll recall, this was tabled at the last meeting, and they've since resubmitted or submitted a new site plan, which takes the application request down to 49 lots. This would be the new subdivision plan, sketch plan, and the applicant is requesting that instead of an R25 zoning, it be moved to an R40 zoning, which would be a less dense zoning, however, more dense than the Ag 5 zone. But with that, if this is considered for approval, I think there would be a few conditions that staff would request that we remove from our suggestions, which those would be number 4 and 5. And those conditions dealt with, the more density, or the density for a subdivision of 71 lots. But with that, I'll entertain any questions that you all may have, but I think, y'all seen this before, and not to go through all the details up front, but Mr. Steve Rushing is here tonight as agent for the applicant.
Thank you, James. Yes, I am Steve Rushing, attorney here in Statesboro. Tonight, I have the pleasure and the privilege of representing the applicant, KB Rentals, LLC, and its principal, Mr. Kelly Brown, sitting on the front row with me, and then also with us is our chief engineer, Mr. Joey Maxwell. Little background, of course, KB Rentals is the current owner of this property, which is a consolidated 75.77 acres made up of 2 tax parcels that are contiguous. It's not under contract. He owns it. He is the planned developer. He's working closely with some local builders here in the community, some of which may be here tonight. Though it is included in his LLC name, this is not a rental project, but a development for purchase and sale of single-family dwellings. For a better description of the project, James is exactly right. We filed initially an application for an R25 zone on with a 76-lot site plan. That's what was provided to the Planning Commission. However, at the Planning Commission hearing, they suggested that we meet with some of the neighbors and see if we could come up with something maybe a little better. And so Mr. Brown has been doing just that. That was why we sought a deferral to this meeting. So he's either met or spoken with various adjacent property owners and had conversations with those. And so it is correct that tonight we are amending, albeit verbally, our application from seeking an R25 zoning of the property to an R40 zoning of the property. We've also come up with a proposed revised site plan. This particular site plan has 49 lots in it, down from our 76 that we originally sought. We just tendered that to the staff earlier today, so I commend them for getting that ready and up on the monitors that quickly. There is an existing residence already on the property. It will be retained, and it will end up on what is shown, I think, as Lot 6 on this revised site plan. I think it's important to notice the location of this property is on the Brooklet Denmark Road along Mincy Road, right across the street from the Brooklet South subdivision. That subdivision is very similar in size. It's about 75 acres, and it is constructed with 75 single-family homes. That is basically why we initially came with our first plan. It was going to be almost a mirror of Brooklet South. But Brooklet South did, I think, apparently appear before zoning occurred. But, and that's the reason it doesn't really have a zone. It may still be Ag 5, in fact, but it is actually built out as an R25 type subdivision. All the lots are less than, or most of the lots are less than an acre. There's a few that may be slightly over an acre. But our revised plan has reduced our size by about 25 homes, but it will appear on roughly the same size tract that Brooklet South is on. Now, after reviewing the departmental review, in light of the original application, we do believe some of the suggested conditions would no longer be applicable, as James pointed out, with this different type subdivision. In addition to making those changes, we have changed the buffers. Now, some of the requirements along the roads is just a 15-foot landscape buffer. We have agreed to provide a 25-foot natural vegetative buffer along the roads, and then along the boundaries that abut the ag land that's already there, we are proposing to double what the county ordinance provides and have a 50-foot natural buffer along the Acock property and the Martin property. And we are proposing to use the existing vegetative buffer because this property has been in a CRP timber program for years. They're in about the 15th year, so we've got some nice trees and already existing vegetation on the property that we would propose to use 50 feet of that as the buffers. Now, from our perspective, or the applicant's perspective, we want to make the most efficient use of the land, particularly in view of the current land prices and even the development costs. They're all skyrocketing, but we also want to complement the Brooklet South subdivision across the street. Now, as for the comprehensive plan, it has assigned this area to a rural open space designation, which normally would be Ag 5 or R80. As approved classifications. But we are looking at single-family dwellings with a homeowners association, basically to mirror Brooklet South subdivision. It would just have now larger lots. We certainly realize that we're about 2 or 3 miles down the road from the new comprehensive plan character area of suburban neighborhood. But here's what's positive about this tract. The main one is, we could acquire it. There's obviously going to be some land in the new designated suburban area. that people aren't willing to sell. So that's always going to be an obstacle. But this one, we had a willing seller. But then probably more importantly is we are right across the street from an existing successful subdivision with homeowners already there. And we are just looking to try to imitate that as best we can with a fewer number of single-family homes. It's also to be noted that this is on the road on which Southeast Bulloch Middle and I guess they took off, but the Southeast Bulloch High School appear, and that's important to home buyers, that it's easy for schools. We did tender a traffic study, which was based on the 76 lots that we originally proposed. So that's where the northbound decel lane showed up as in that report. We'll probably have to revisit that, of course, to see what the traffic engineers say on a smaller type subdivision. That I think also did away with the proposed second entrance when we reduced the size of our subdivision. So we certainly want to review those suggested conditions. We think, in addition to, 4 and 5, maybe 3, 4, and 5 may be require further looking at. But we did meet, Mr. Brown did meet with the ACOT 3 owners. That's the property to the east. After that meeting, in addition to changing our zoning, we've also proposed to do a farm-type fence along their boundary line on the back side of the 50-foot timber buffer, mainly just to keep folks from going on their land and back into. That was one of their concerns. So we've added that 6-foot fence as and that can be an added condition, but we're planning to do that as well. I just want to point out that Brooklet South, with its 75 homes, has coexisted with the local agricultural uses all these many years, so there's no reason to think that we could not do the same. We're going to have these nice buffers with the 15-year-old timber. We've also taken the old bar pit, which we propose to convert into a nice pond for the residents. Yes, this will add some traffic to Brooklet Denmark Road, but in comparison to some of the other subdivisions with hundreds of lots, this one now with less than 50 lots will at least make traffic manageable according to our traffic engineers. Now, some of the residents of Brooklet South expressed some concern about our proposed entrance being right across the street, directly across from their entrance, but that's what our traffic engineers suggest is more safe. We also checked with the county engineer, and he stated that is the preferred location also. So we feel like we've kind of been over to try to meet some needs of the community with housing, but also to address the concerns of our neighbors. So we would ask that you please entertain and approve our revised application for an R40 zone with the staff's first 2 and last suggested conditions, and adding the buffer and fence as a condition as well. I'll save my last 45 seconds. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I, just to clarify on the conditions, Mr. Rushing, are you saying delete 3, 4, and 5? Is that?
I think that's correct, Mr. Akins. Let me take a quick look at that.
And then on number 1, I think we need to change R25 to R40, obviously.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That would require that change as well. Yeah, number 3, we just weren't sure because that traffic recommendation was on 76 lots. And so we just kind of came up with this plan after meeting with the neighbors recently, so we haven't had time for the traffic engineers to determine if that's still a needed traffic. But certainly whatever the traffic study suggests, we're certainly going to comply with. But that was with the 76 home subdivision.
So how would we amend that condition then?
I think as whatever a revised traffic study would propose based on the new plan. Is that something we could work? I've got our engineer here, he might go work better than that.
I agree. If you change the condition, that particular condition to, that the entrance would be constructed to a future traffic study, because we'll go back to the same traffic engineer,
Hmm.
the original study, and just update it with this particular lot.
Okay, so the subdivision entrance shall be constructed as required by,
The traffic report as approved by
Traffic
the
study.
county staff.
okay, by the county engineer?
Yeah, county engineer. And
Okay.
it may still require the desalinator, but it would need to be looked
Yeah.
at again.
Is the staff okay with that, I guess, or?
I think I would be okay with that. DOT actually has a formula that they would use also to look at those turn lanes, so.
Yeah.
it-
We're fine with whatever that turns out.
Okay. I'm just, my only point is we need to
Yes.
figure out how to word it if they're gonna approve
Right.
with conditions, so.
Move on, Mr. Rushing, according to the clock, saw it was 10 seconds left for rebuttal. How many? 43. 43, okay. Now, the opposing ones that are speaking. We have a collective time schedule of 10 minutes. So you'll call out the ones that comes up, and at the end of 10 minutes, unless the commissioners have questions, then that time will be utilized for the rebuttal side. So, or not the rebuttal side, but those that are opposed. So we have how many signed up, opposed?
6 and 1 undecided.
All right, 1 undecided and 6 signed up. Oh, that is against. So we'll start with the one that signed up
It's
first.
undecided.
Yes.
Angel Acock.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Angel Acock, and I represent the interest of Acock 3, which is adjoining landowner on the northeast side of proposed property, approximately 2,000 linear feet. We've met with Mr. Kelly Brown several times, and I appreciate Mr. Brown and his team working with us to help create a neighborhood that's a better fit for the area. I mean, our primary concern was the proposed community be more in line with the rural setting. This is really important because we want to set a precedence for future neighborhoods. We don't want to open the door to high-density suburban neighborhoods and possible tract home builders. It's my hope to protect the community, the environment, and the farmland for the future and the quality of life. It's not that I'm opposed to building, I was just opposed at the R25, but at the R40, I feel more comfortable with that. And with that being said, like I said, I'm open to compromise, and I understand the growth and the upcoming needs for the area. You know, my only concern, I guess, at this point with the R40, if it's still, you know, the project for the paved roads, the underground storm, the curb and gutter, and the appropriately sized detention pond would remain in place. If all that remains in place, we would support this project. We feel it's necessary in helping to preserve a rural feeling for the community for now and the future. So if the infrastructure stays the same at R40, I would support that.
Thank you.
Janice Cribbs.
Good evening. I live on Mincy Road, and this is my grandfather's house. And I have a lot of issues with the heritage there. And I also have issues with our farmland being destroyed, so many of our area. And this is not just this lot of these houses, but so many of them. And this really is a big concern, as I was raised on a farm and raised to work on a farm, still have land over there on Mincy Road. And I know we're talking about our density, and all that is important. However, we also need to look at the school system. They're already at their max. I have a grandson in school at Brook Elementary, and I think theirs was like 800 students this year. And they're in modular houses. And I know they're supposed to move to the junior high whenever the big school's built. But we haven't even started on Southeast Bulloch High School yet. And I'm really got some concerns about influxing more people into the area and the road situation, the traffic situation, and of course the wildlife. This land adjoins my land, and behind my land is the Monahan's land. And we have deer, we have raccoons, we have all kind of wildlife. And there's going to be, these wildlife don't have they don't have a say in this. And so I really want y'all to think about that. As we will go down the roads, we see so many deer and possum and all these things in the roads already. And to add more people and more cars. And I just respectfully ask you to decline this.
John Harity.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to oppose to the application for rezoning this area. Even though it's a wooded lot, it's still agricultural. And as I spoke before, we try to maintain these areas as long as possible. These two parcels, as part of Bulloch County's rural open space depicted by the future development map, is not in character with building another subdivision across the street from where we're at in Bulloch South. Excuse me. There are several negative impacts that would occur if allowed to build. The school system was already mentioned, the hospitals, the police, fire, EMT, they're already all stretched. The level of density will be out of character for this location. We want to keep our open space and our low density intact. It's important to a lot of people throughout Brooklyn South, where I reside. If this area is allowed to build, this could possibly set a precedence and change our landscape forever. And that's our big concern. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Lloyd Strickland.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good to see y'all. I'm Lloyd Strickland. I have lived and farmed a mile from this property my whole lifetime. I've owned land right straight across the road from this property, not this particular tract, but more Mincy property right down the road. I'd like to relate to you an experience that I had about a year ago, 2 years ago. I retired from farming 4 years ago with a large debt at the bank. I had two choices: sell 150 acres of land and pay off my debt, or risk the bank foreclosing on 300 acres. I chose to sell, and this land was located on Mincy Road. I sold this land under Ag 5 rules. When I had the lot surveyed, the surveyor told me I could not sell one lot because I did not own the road frontage. His survey showed that the Mincys owned a very small sliver of land between me and the road, less than 1/10 of an acre. I contacted David Mincy and explained what was going on and offered to buy that small piece, of which was of no use to them. He didn't see a problem, David didn't, but had to talk to his father as he owned the land. Well, his father refused to sell it to me because he did not want any more houses on Mincy Road. I wonder what he would think today about 71, now 49 houses being built not only on Mincy Road, but on Mincy property. And if we have, I think we've got one or two more speakers. If we have time, I would like to come back up and say some more, but I'd like for everybody here to get a chance to speak.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
Right, kill it.
Good evening. Brooklyn South is a 100-acre tract of land. The smallest lots are right at 3/4 of an acre. My biggest concern would be, of course, the schools, the hospitals, the services that are provided by the county. This is a major thoroughfare. This is tractor trailers, emergency vehicles, multiple times per day. My concern would be the intersection. Not only is there a need for a accel lane or a decel lane, but also for left-hand turn lanes, plural. Probably should have been a law when Brooklyn South was built to have that, but since it wasn't, it should definitely happen now. That's really all I have. Thank you.
Ronnie Neesmith.
How are y'all doing today? Thank you very much for having us in here. I talked to Mr. Brown yesterday, first time. It's short, sweet, but he was very willing to, seemed like he was willing to change to help me out here, okay? Help me out with my place. We have that pond that borders Mincy Road, 22.7 acres there. That's us, okay? My biggest concern right this second is, now he said he's gonna put a fence within that 50-foot span, okay, down that dirt road. That's gonna help keep their people from crossing that road into my pond. You understand where I'm coming from here? The emergency, medical, the school system, everything is there, right? It's all gonna be a big jam, you're not gonna be able to turn in and out off that dirt road very easily. Not gonna happen. They're gonna pave just so far and stop. When that dirt road stops to the pavement, when they connect, you're gonna lose your mufflers and all there if you don't put something down there the rest of the way. You can't go up to a dirt road. You can look down further down the dirt road, you'll find that same thing. The kids in that school are in this place, gonna turn, take the dirt road and go down. Dirt road, they're going to school that way. They're not gonna take that highway. That dirt road, it's gonna have to be something done to it further down the line. The biggest thing here is, 7 years ago, Creasy had to come out and carry my well 40 foot deeper, okay? With the water table like it was, not including these other homes you're talking about putting in here, okay? The water at my place, who's gonna pay for that if I have to go 40 foot more? That's gonna be me again, the taxes and everything. How many houses you think you could put there, you know, and my water, me still be able to take a bath, you know, me to use my water. Every ounce, every blade of grass you take ain't coming back, okay? We got Mayberry RFD right there in Brooklyn, you know? You got a beautiful little town there that's, every time land's gone, you're not getting it back. It's not coming back to look the same way as it did. Not ever gonna happen again. Just losing it. And it's gonna happen sooner or later, and I know it. All I'm asking here tonight is, you don't have enough policemen. You ain't got enough school room, okay? You ain't got enough medical personnel, ambulances, okay? The water, you gotta check that water, see how you gonna furnish water to them and to me too, and I've paid for mine, you know? We've gotta figure this out here. How about we just, and something for you to think about is, why don't you at least postpone this a little bit before you agree to this and figure out how you're gonna do this other stuff? How we're gonna have medical people out there without all these accidents and all this? How we gonna get more out there? How we gonna have more policemen out there? You ain't got enough now. Ain't got enough. How about your school system? Everybody's going in phases. Time's up. Everybody's going in phases. How many phases you think you can have? But you got subdivision over here and one over here and one over here. Everybody's going in a phase. The school still ain't no bigger than it was. Still gonna take the same amount. By the time that one's built, it's gonna be too small. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else at all?
There was one left.
Okay. The 10 minutes is up, and I'm sorry that everybody did not get to speak, but that's the rule that we have, and we're going to stick by it. So you have a few 43 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As to Ms. Aycock's concern, we will follow the subdivision regulations to the letter. That's what contains the infrastructure requirements. As for the government services and schools, this whole project is probably on about a 2-year time scale before we'll have homes or people living in there. So these are things that we hope can be addressed during this 2-year period. I know it's in the process of being addressed by this commission right now. I think one thing, since our initial application, we've taken off the access to Mincy Road, so there's no longer access to the dirt road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the only comments or questions or statements that we will have is from the commissioners, and I ask them now, do you have any questions of either side? Make any statement.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a statement
Yes, sir.
on both sides, from Mr. Brown to Ms. Aycock, Mr. Strickland. I talked to several people. This is probably one of the subdivisions that I've been in on that all the landowners around it, and or most, I don't know if everyone, but I talked to a lot of them. Some of them not here. Jimmy Woods is right across the street. But they all got together and they all worked together, and I talked to Ms. Aycock last night and Mr. Strickland. This today, I believe it was. I just want to tell y'all how much I appreciate y'all getting together and working together and trying to, I know everybody ain't going to iron everything out, but I just wanted to say that all y'all work together of how this comes out. And I did want to ask from James, now, just to be sure, this goes down to one entrance, which will be on Brooklet Denmark Road. There will not be an entrance on Mincy Road, correct?
That's correct. This 49 lots is only required to have one entrance.
If the traffic study warrants for turning lanes or whatever, Mr. Brown has agreed to that. Okay. All right. I'm good, I think.
All right, anything else from any commissioner?
So, basically, condition number 5 would be eliminated as well. I was mentioned 3, 4, and 5, so 5. We mentioned about paving part of the way, so that's out the door right now. Right, and I can kind of explain 4 and 5. 4 and 5 was if it had a secondary entrance along Mincy Road. So with that, with this design, you would not have to have that. And then number 5 was basically through our development process, we identified the need for fire apparatus, essentially a third entrance further into the subdivision with a second, a different way of getting into the subdivision. So that number 5 would not be required at that number of lots. So, essentially, if you were to follow the subdivision regulations, then again, 4 and 5 could fall off. Number 3 really, even if you took that off, that would be considered the decel lane. That would be considered by the county engineer, just based off the intersection analysis anyways in the subdivision regulations. So, even if you took off number 3, I think we have a mechanism to satisfy that concern. But however of course, however you want to do it, but if that's even, a desire of the commission.
Anyone else? Then hearing nothing, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I'll
sir.
make a motion that we accept this rezoning request with the exception of 3, 4, and 5 conditions.
Second.
That's R40, right? R40, yes, with all the amenities that go with the subdivision rules for R40.
Okay, we had a motion to accept. And let's clarify, thought I heard 2 seconds, but who wants to second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Stringer. Any other discussion? And hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to 1. It's approved by a vote of 4 to 1.
Is Mr. Ray still on the phone?
It's, how did he vote?
Responding by text, and he votes yes.
Okay, it's approved by a 5 to 1 vote. I appreciate you reminding me of him being on the phone. So this motion is accepted and approved by a 5-1 vote. Thank y'all for coming tonight. We're going to move on now to item number 2. Let's give them a minute to clear out.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Agenda item number 2 tonight is a conditional use request by Hawk Properties LLC, who is requesting the conditional use of the property for light manufacturing on a parcel that is presently zoned heavy industrial. The property is located at 622 Jake.
Could you hold up just a minute? Ma'am. I don't know if you need to start over. Did anybody hear all of what he had said? Or anybody didn't hear what he had said? All right, let's just resume then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is located at 622 Jake Strauss Road, and Zach Hawk will be serving as the agent tonight. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval by a 4-0 vote. This map, as shown over the future development map, there's a star placed at the approximate location just north of Statesboro. It would be to the west side of 301 North. There's currently a heavy industrial, essentially a small business park along North Randy Lowry Road. This park, as shown on the current, this zoning map has not been updated since this property was rezoned. However, I do assure you it is zoned heavy industrial. But the entry into the property would be, again, right at Randy Lowry Road and then 301. The landowner has submitted this property for, I know has approved sketch plan or subdivision approval for this property. On the west side of the property, as you see on the site map, is Mr. Zach Hawk and Hawk Properties retained that parcel for his business. But then on the east side of the road, there's several smaller lots that, again, kind of mirror what is already there, as you go into this development. The lot that is being asked for the conditional use in this case is highlighted in red. It's on the north portion of this development. The adjacent properties, or to the east, is also zoned heavy industrial, and that was, again, rezoned all at the same time as part of the same property prior to a parcel split. This is the site plan that was submitted by the applicant, which shows an approximate 10,000 square foot building, and the business that is looking to move into this property. And going through the development process, staff really didn't see much of a concern in their process and the noise that it may or may not produce. It was, again, a machine shop, which is very similar to other uses just south of this in the development park. And again, with this being a new development, it's currently under construction, and this is looking into the new development. And these are similar sized businesses that are in the existing park. And then, again, similar type of use for this. So again, staff recommends approval of the conditional use request. And maybe to save some time, also number 3 is nearly identical to this, but of course we'll go through that process. But so just for, your consideration, 2 and 3 are essentially the same. But Mr. Zach Hawk, I'll ask you to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Zach Hawk with Hawk Properties, also Hawk Construction. This property here I bought mainly for my business, and what I'm trying to do is trying to find like-minded businesses to come in with us and rent these areas. I will own the whole property. They're not for sale, and they'll be held to the same standards as far as our cleanliness and noise as our business. This company, Shaler Tech, who's coming in, is a CNC operated machine company where it's not your traditional machine shop where you have all these loud noises and machines drilling. They do, but they're all self-contained. They're all quiet. I took a tour of their facility, and I was impressed by how quiet the machines are. And they run machines all day, normal hours, 8 to 5. But it was really quiet and nice and clean. And I'm trying to bring light businesses to our facility, just to kind of reflect what we do, because this is my home. This is where I work every day, and this is where I spend most of my time. So I'm trying to bring in light businesses. I'm going to save my remaining time unless you have questions for rebuttals about the project.
Okay.
Terry Deal.
Good evening. I'm Terry Deal. I live on Redfern Lane. I've been living there for probably about 30 years. This property here a year ago or so was R80. And Mr. Hawk, was desiring to purchase the property, come to us and said that, he wanted to purchase it to put just his business out there. He owns a business out on Metz Road, and it's built steel buildings. And he he said, I'm on a just my business. There's nothing else going to be here. I'm a real quiet business. We run 8 to 5, 5 days a week, sometimes 6, sometimes 6 days a week. But it's just real quiet business. But I just need it for my business, and I need a good size there. So me and William, we talked about it, and he said, hey, I'm gonna have to get it heavy, rezoned heavy industrial if that's not a problem. And under those terms, I said, well, I don't really see a problem. This looks like a good deal to me. And and that's kind of morphed into what you're seeing today. It's not just one business. It's going to be more. And it looks like there's going to go from one business to a total of 8. What looks like the plans are there. And then there was promises of, I'm going to build a good barrier between y'all and my business, and there'll be, where you can't see it, and that's kind of morphed into a different story now. And so I really have a problem with the way it's going. It's surrounded on one side there by R80. Indeed, the property behind his there is heavy industrial. I own that. It wasn't supposed to be rezoned under that process, but it was. And so I'm just kind of miffed about the way this whole process, the way we were led into it, and how it's being shown as being way more than just his business there now. So obviously I'm against it. And if you do decide that hey, we can roll it like it is, I'd like to, make sure that the buffers are adequate to protect our interests. I've been out here for 30 years. It's a quiet area. And that, and the hours of operation, I don't know if we can do something on that, but I just don't want a lot of framming and carrying on with a bunch of machine shops and carrying on, you know. It's just one of those things that the promises that have been made and the agreements that were gentlemen's agreements just haven't been, and I don't buy any other stores. I don't know the truth about it. So I'm against it, and if you could, just please protect our interests if you decide to vote for it.
Isaac Deal.
I'm Isaac Dill. I live out there as well in Redfern Lane. I own property just adjacent to where he is proposing to build his building. I express the same concerns as the previous gentleman. Would like for at least some type of buffer in there where we don't have to see his shop, as well as hours of operation as well.
Priscilla Deal.
Good evening. Basically, my concerns are the same as my husband and my son have expressed. We've lived there for 30 years. We've had a very peaceful existence out there, and this is our primary residence. This is where we've raised our children and made our home. There was a gentleman's agreement saying, hey, this will remain a quiet area. This will be, you won't have to worry about seeing our business or hearing our business. It will remain quiet. So I am opposed that I don't want it to devalue our property. I also don't want the noise nuisance, and I'm also concerned about the amount of traffic that's going to be coming in and out of Randy Lowry. I know quite a few of you commissioners visited Randy Lowry a couple years ago when we repaved it, and you can see how small it is. And for me to have high school kids that are fixing to be traveling in and out of that road is a great concern. So I'm opposed to it, but again, if you guys do decide to pass it, I ask that we please impose at least that the barrier be the greatest it can be, so that we don't have to worry about the nuisance of the noise or seeing the industrial park.
Jacob Deal.
I agree with everything they said. I'm totally against it being put there. I would request that, you know, if y'all do decide some type of noise barrier, the whole situation is really kind of morphed into a, hey, it's just going to be something quiet, and to the point now where words directly from Mr. Hawk's mouth is, we're going to do the bare minimum when it comes to a barrier between it. And I own property directly adjacent to it. I grew up in the house that's a few hundred yards away from there. It's always been a very peaceful place, and I think it should stay that way. And if that means not rezoning it, or if y'all decide to vote in favor of it, to go in and have a large barrier for noise as well as visual. I'm sure y'all seen on those pictures there the type of partition that was there. We've spoke with people that properties that were there before, and when you look at how they say, we'll put up a nice barrier, you know, it's a 6-foot fence that you can't see through, and then the first windstorm that comes through rips it all up and trash blows all over the place. It's not a good look. So I'm totally against it, but if you could put that, and then also the traffic that goes down Randy Lowry. There's a small air conditioning business that comes through there. We have a few vans, plus the semi trucks that come down there. It's a very dangerous section because you come over a hill, not to mention getting on 301. As treacherous as it is, so that's all I have to say about it.
That was all the ones that have spoken that signed up to oppose. We have rebuttal time left.
I believe mostly what they were talking about is my property has already been rezoned. The property over here on the left has buffers. There are setbacks 100 feet from the property line that I cannot use. There's buffers, there's fences I have to put in, and there's plants I have to put in, irrigation I have to put in. There are all sorts of different stuff that was not in my original budget, but when the county came and did it, I think it was, April 4th, it went way above what I was gonna do originally anyway. So I'm actually doing above and beyond, more than what I was anticipating originally, which is great. I'm glad because it's improving the property. I have no problems with that. So we're gonna meet all your expectations and requirements, on my property. But the other property, is against another, industrial park, and, it's actually across the park away from their area. Is there any questions that y'all may have about the property or the building or the business?
Question?
James, I guess since the buffer is not a big issue, can you elaborate, what's the fact that there's no condition, I know there's a required buffer, but maybe elaborate what the new county standards might be for.
Sure. It's kind of hard to tell on the site plan, but Mr. Hawk does have buffers drawn in on that west side and I believe either to that north boundary along the whole property line, which is where it changes density from a heavy industrial to the residential 80,000 square foot lots. And so that is part of the plan, I can say that. And that's just typical to what our ordinance says. I believe it's a 25-foot buffer, and you can go a little bit less than that if you put a fence there, of course, according to standard. But,
And on that north side, we're actually gonna leave all that natural. We're not, destroying that. There's natural oaks in there. We wanna keep that buffer like it is. So technically, I could go through there and clear out more, but I'm not. Cause it's just, we wanna keep it there. We wanna keep that natural growth. But that's also against this property and not the property that's in conditional use today, as far as what we're trying to get the conditional use for.
Any more questions?
So where's the buffer at? Well, I mean, is it the road frontage? Is that where we got the 25-foot of buffer now?
No.
All the way around?
It's, if you look at this map, this angle here,
Yeah.
that angle up top has a 25-foot buffer from the property, minimum. And then on my side right here, I have a 15, but I also have a setback over 100 feet that I can't put a building, so it puts me further back, away off the property line. So I wouldn't be next to there just making a lot of noise, I'd be further away. All that's been approved and accepted. The one we're under discussion is the one at the peak area.
Yeah.
That's, that has, the only thing it has is an easement for a power line. There is no buffers on that because there's industrial surrounding it all the way around currently. So there is no additional requirements for that one, being it's surrounded by industrial. And it also has the pond there, which also pushes us up that's 2 acres of pond, of buffer from the other property over there, which is actually beaver swamp and pond. So there will be no development, no growth in that whole area. Close to that piece of property. And then 301's over here, which all that's zoned heavy industrial because it's gonna be all tied into 301.
You through? Yeah. Mr. Pope, it's zoned heavy industrial, right?
Heavy industrial.
That's correct.
Give me some examples of heavy industrial. What can go there now, just like it is?
Automotive shops, repair shops, automotive equipment repair shops.
Yeah, and when we changed the ordinance, the machine shop or light manufacturing use, before that was permitted by right. You could just, set up any machine shop you wanted to as long as you had the zoning. But when we moved it to a conditional use, that gave us a little more review of that specific development. And things we look at with those developments or an individual business that is seeking this conditional use would be the noise, the smells, hours of operation, anything height-wise would take away from the character of the area. And again, through our process, we never revealed nothing was ever revealed that would say that it's out of character for what's already there presently to the south. And so the noise, again, that noise levels that were presented to us and just based off what we've, the existing business that I believe is located in Savannah, is that correct?
It's actually in Rankin.
Or
and,
Savannah area?
Yes, Rankin.
But, so, those noise levels were not to the point of concern for us, but.
But I mean, now, at this point in time, just about whatever he wants to put there, he can put there and heavy.
At this point, I could put an automotive repair shop, which makes a lot more noise and a lot more traffic than what I'm proposing to put in. I'm trying to keep it where it's nice also for me, the traffic and dealing day to day with people and input, because I'm going to be operating in there also. This is, where I'm going to be at. I also want them, I want a company that takes care of the property because I'm going to own the property. So.
Thank you. Now to the commissioners. Anything else? Any comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the conditional use request for light industrial to heavy industrial, I guess.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Oh, yes.
Commissioner Mosley votes yes as well.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, we have a 6-0 vote in favor of. So,
All right, Mr. Chairman, next item on the agenda, again, mirrors the previous number 2 item, where Hawk Properties LLC has submitted a request for a conditional use of light manufacturing on a parcel currently zoned heavy industrial. The property is located at 572 Jake Strauss Road, and Mr. Zach Hawk will be serving as agent. Staff recommends approval of the conditional use request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval by a 4-0 vote. Again, same development as a previous agenda item. This would just be lot number 5, so it's just to the south of the property that we just talked about. Same adjacent zoning, again, same parcel zoning for that to the east as well as surrounding. So with that, if Mr. Zach Hawk wants to step to the podium.
This is a very similar company. It's a separate company. They're out of Savannah. They're trying to get out of that market. They're similar products, similar ideas. They work together hand in hand. By them moving here with them, it helps them as far as logistics of moving product back and forth to each other. So that's why we want to get this rezoned so they can the conditional use approved so we can have them next to us. And same condition, they're a very good company, very small company that is looking to come to Statesboro and leave Savannah. So, if you have any questions, I'll answer them.
okay. You'll have time to speak again if you so desire.
Terry Deal,
I think they left. Call them all out anyways.
Isaac Deal, Priscilla Deal, and Jacob Deal.
Even though I see no movement, is there any of those present that would like to speak? And to clarify one point, we're changing this, or possibly changing the zoning from heavy industrial to light industrial.
Sir, that was, light manufacturing
Light
is what
manufacturing.
it would,
Yeah.
the conditional use. Yes, sir.
Okay.
My mistake, sorry about that.
All right,
Mr. Chairman.
heavy industrial, heavy manufacturing to light.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that point.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. It just allows the use of light manufacturing.
And,
Right, yes. Okay. Mr. Hawk, do you need to add anything?
No, sir, if you don't have any questions, if you do, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Okay. Any additional questions from Mr. Hawk? Then hearing none, I will call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve. We have a second. How does Mr. Mosley vote on this?
He's listening, so probably waiting on the call. And he votes yes.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a second, and I jumped the gun on that. I was thinking any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Mr. Mosley is yes, yes, unanimous approval. Thank you very much.
All right. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, agenda item number 4 tonight is a text amendment proposal by Swift Transportation Company of Arizona, LLC, who has submitted the text amendment requesting to introduce text into the Bulloch County Code of Ordinances, Appendix C, Section 1423, Freight Trucking Facility. Specifically, the request is to modify the prohibitions of maintenance or sales of any kind in temporary or portable structures for offices or storage. Mr. Steve Rushing will serve as agent tonight. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval by a 4-0 vote. And in your staff report, you do have a resolution to adopt, and if you so choose to amend the text of the ordinance tonight. This, and I'm going to let Mr. Rushing get into the specifics of how this came about, but essentially with our zoning change in April of last year, we introduced supplemental standards for specific uses into our zoning ordinance, in which 1423 specifically dealt with freight trucking facilities. And I have shown on the screen, and I apologize for those that are sitting further back, may not be able to see it, but number 16 within that the freight trucking facility standard, we had where the following uses or activities were prohibited. And I think at the time, our intention was that the maintenance and sales of any kind and temporary or portable structures for offices or storage was so that, freight trucking facility would not just come in a highway commercial zone and morph or change into something that really doesn't speak to the main purpose of a freight trucking facility, which is, semi-trucks, freight coming and going in a facility. But we have seen over a period of time, as some corridors develop, that, the freight trucking facilities maybe added in a commercial maintenance aspect to it that really turned into something on its own. And so, maybe we were a little broad in that standard. And so what this text amendment is proposing is maybe a little clarity to what is allowed for freight trucking facilities, in that a company could continue to perform maintenance on their own vehicles, but just their own vehicles. It wouldn't be open to the public, in which staff believes that that is a secondary use that speaks to the primary, and, kind of goes hand in hand. But again, the way we had termed it before, it was a little difficult to administer. And then the temporary office structures, our desire was that, if you establish a location in Bulloch County, that you're going to have an office building as a permanent structure that's, the conventional construction, not necessarily a trailer that they drag out there and next thing you know, in 5 years, or why haven't they moved it off? So that was our intention. And so we worked with Swift Transportation to clarify that aspect of it. And so the language that is being proposed here tonight is as part of what staff recommends. But we place that temporary or portable structure for offices into the fact that as long as you have a building permit, which is active, then you could have a portable office structure, which is part of the ordinance anyways. But I said I wasn't going to say a lot of words, but to get around to it, we're just trying to clarify what the ordinance says in this use. And I think it would give more flexibility in what a freight trucking facility can do, but it also lends protection for the citizens and surrounding areas. But this would apply to Bulloch County unincorporated area as a whole. It's not just for Swift Transportation. It's just that they decided to move forward and work with us in this text amendment. So, Mr. Steve Rushing, if you'll please take the mic and go from there.
Thank you, James. Steve Rushing. This time, I have the privilege to represent Swift Transportation Company of Arizona, LLC. With me here tonight, Tom Zylstra. He is Senior Project Manager, Corporate Real Estate Services with Knight Swift Transportation Holdings. And yes, this is kind of developed. This was added actually into the ordinance even after they had purchased their property while they were basically pouring concrete, I guess. And you may be familiar with this facility if you've been out on 301 South next to Kubota. Big facility, beautiful area there for this. And if you're not familiar with Swift Transportation Company of Arizona, they are one of the big ones. If you've been doing any traveling, you'll see their trucks out on the road. And I've always noticed they're the best looking trucks that you see out on the road. And that's not by accident. Their procedures is they purchase their equipment, they get the extended warranty on them, and when that warranty runs out, they sell them. And so during the warranty period, they don't have any big repair work going on this site, because it's all under warranty. It would be off-site under warranty work. This is just for maintenance, tires, fuel, truck, just to keep them going, is what this facility would be doing. And at the time that the warranty runs out, they sell them in bulk, maybe once or twice a year. They'll do the sales, and so there may be someone that would actually come to the site to pick up a truck that they had purchased when we sold it. So it's not like a sales dealership or anything like that. It's just when we run one out of their system, they sell it, they come pick it up, and we buy a new one, basically. So we learned about this as part of our constructing our office. We had a little temporary building out there that we were using during our construction period. We are going to have a permanent office and a permanent repair facility. There's some training that will be going on of our drivers. Basically, this is a truck terminal. And I asked Tom if he would kind of, give us just a little brief on what actually operations occur there. Of course, as those truck drivers come in, they gotta, deal with those guys. So you'll have a lounge area, maybe a little laundry for them, some showers that take care of our drivers. There's gonna be a section in a maintenance shop for the trucks to keep them going. We gotta keep our drivers going and our trucks going. And that would be done on this facility. And then you got the front office portion. We'd have some training in there and just our offices for this facility. So I think at the Planning Commission, someone asked how many, trucks or trailers would you actually have on this facility at one time? If it was a special occasion, the most trucks you would see would be around 75. On an average though, probably 20 to 25 trucks and trailers, and then about 10 or 15 personal vehicles for the office personnel. But, so as we were going through, as James just pointed out, the text that had been added back in April, just if you look at that language, it says that maintenance is prohibited. But I think as James said, they were looking at a truck maintenance division, so to speak. But this is just to maintain our own trucks and trailers. We don't do it for anyone else. And so I think the language that working with the county attorney and James came up with, I think that works to address these concerns, these limitations on there's some exceptions basically to the prohibition. One thing I might add, Jeff, and I'd get your input on this, I think it's covered under letter C where it did say prohibited maintenance of any kind or sales of any kind. Now we're proposing maintenance or sales are only allowed for company-owned vehicles or trailers. Unrelated party sales or transactions of any kind are prohibited. I think that covers us with the related parties because Swift is a national big company, and they may have their truck titled under Swift Transportation. It might be Swift Holding, but they're all under the same penumbra of Swift Transportation of Arizona. So we might want to just add at letter B where we've got vehicle repairs or mantling of vehicles owned or operated by an entity other than the property owner. If we could add there maybe, Jeff, or its related parties or its affiliates, whatever language that because it's not, the property owner might be Holdings Company, Swift Holdings, and then the trucks may be Swift Transportation, Swift Trucking. They're all related to the Swift, but right now, other than the property owner, we might have one LLC that owns the land and others that own the trucks and trailers, but they're all related under the Swift ownership. So that would be the only.
Or it's related entity.
Yes, that's right. That's the only thing I would say that we would add. And I think that covers us to let us operate what we have described. And I see Tom's got a question.
Why are we making this change now at the dais?
I'm sorry?
Why are we requesting the change now at the dais? Shouldn't have this been worked out before tonight?
We had brought it up to the staff and they had suggested this language. And so before tonight, I really didn't pick up that it didn't cover our related entities. I thought it covered the property owner, but I realized that it's just one of our companies is maybe the property owner, and then we've got others that are going to own the trucks and trailers that may be related to the property owner, but not a different company at all. So we're just looking to add to the property owner its related entities.
Well, if it's okay with Mr. Akins and Mr. Pope, I guess it's okay, but, we performed a lot of due diligence during the zoning moratorium, so we're not negotiating conditions at the bench or dais, or in this case, negotiating ordinance text language, which I think is even riskier, but again, if development and legal is good with it, I'm okay with it, but I think we've got to caution ourselves in the future not to go there.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason I prefaced, we actually purchased this property last July of '22. before this language was even in the ordinance. That came in April of '23, and that's how it came up. In the building process, we had our temporary office out there, and that's how it came up. So it was not even there when we first purchased the property. So that's why we're having to tinker with it, because it kind of changed after we acquired the property, but before we got it under full construction.
I mean.
Thank you.
So from the development standpoint, trying to administer that, I think it kind of opens you up to, how would you necessarily say, related entities for a smaller business that, could say, well, 10 LLCs are part of their entity, but administering it, I think the way the language is proposed initially works best, in that if you look at Swift and night transportation and whatnot, I mean, if they have some direction or control of who or what truck goes to that terminal to get maintenance, I mean, I think that would be pretty obvious, whether it was whatever entity, LLC or whatnot. But I think from an administration standpoint, we would have enough leeway in there to get by with what's been presented without saying or related entities. I mean, I think if there's, it would be obvious if there was a back and forth on what trucks were being serviced there. I think it would be fairly obvious that which trucks were being serviced, and the proof is a bona fide relation there.
Could I suggest, can we defer it for a meeting? And that's probably what Mr. Couch was alluding to, is once you get into this, then we may need a definition of related entity. What does that mean?
Subsidiaries. Would that give you a comfort level if, rather than using that, we use subsidiaries, which would mean they'd have to be owned by the property owner? Tom?
Well, I'm not chairing the meeting, but, the only point I'm making is that, circumstances like this can be avoided by doing some due diligence before the meeting, because we have other business. I think we probably have people waiting for public comment, and that inconveniences them. And, we've been going on for an hour and a half now, primarily with zoning. So I think I'm just expressing a little bit of disappointment, because the good news is we're not negotiating 40 zoning conditions anymore, but frankly, this is something that should have been taken care of well before the meeting, and I'm not even sure if the change should have been vetted by planning and zoning, since they're a recommending body. But I'm with Mr. Akins, and if the chairman agrees.
I'll be the chair. Let me put an end to this. Or the commissioners put an end to it. You didn't drive from Arizona to this meeting tonight, did you?
I flew.
Well, I didn't expect that answer. Will you be coming back next month?
That's up to.
Honestly, I agree with Tom, our county manager, that we shouldn't, of course, I don't vote, but I'm going to ask this question for the commissioners, and you decide. If they can wrap this up in 2 minutes and 27 seconds, I think that's acceptable from the chairman's standpoint, but if they cannot, or if you want to request that they come back, it's time to put this one to bed.
Mr. Chair, if you'll yield the floor, please.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to carry this any longer either, and I don't want to intervene with any commissioner discussion, but, we're dealing with finite legal language that I think has to be thoroughly vetted. You know, this isn't an ordinary zoning condition. We're talking about an amendment, a text amendment to our zoning ordinance, and we have to get it right not only for the circumstance of Swift, but for any other like company or circumstances. And I think I'm just expressing my, I guess, disappointment and impatience because it wastes a lot of time for the people in this room who have been here for a while. And I know as a chairman, you would want to move on too. However, it is up to the will of the commissioners and of course you running the meeting. But I'm more sensitive to the issue of trying to do this over a text amendment. And if Mr. Akins would recommend how the deferral should occur, whether it's to, you know, the next morning meeting or the next meeting typically that we have at the first of the month, I would rely on that.
If I may, I know I've still got some time left. I know I was allocated 10 minutes and I've not used it all.
Cut the clock off about, or it stopped running, but it's running again now.
All right, but based upon.
Let me finish this first.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna turn it to the commissioners. What would you like to do? Allow him time to finish or table it?
You
All right.
gave
I was just looking to, we'll retract the request based on what Mr. Pope has indicated, that he feels the staff is situated well enough to enforce it as it is proposed. We'll retract any amendment to that and just go with what the staff has proposed with no additional changes.
All right. Commissioners, show of hands of those that approve that request. I mean,
Does it need to be in the form of a motion?
need a motion?
Yeah, I think somebody will have
Need a
to
motion
make
to-
a motion to approve.
Made a motion then.
Second.
Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Ray? All right,
Thank you, and sorry for keeping the
thank you.
board.
Next on our agenda is the approval of the general agenda. Before I entertain a motion to approve the general agenda, do we have any other discussion or motion modifications desired by the county manager or the board?
Will the chairman yield to the county manager, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Out of necessity and for the good of the citizens of Bulloch County, the staff requests a modification under the proposed executive session to include a real estate matter compliant with the Georgia Open Meetings Act. And I'll yield the floor back to the chairman to see if other staff or commissioners have any modifications.
Does anyone have a problem?
I have no problem, Mr. Commissioner, but I would like to move line item number 4 to new business. I'm sorry.
All right, then, Tom, repeat one
Okay,
topic.
the staff modification was to add a real estate matter compliant with the Open Meetings Act to the executive session.
Okay.
And it sounds as if perhaps Commissioner Rushing was asking for a modification. Would it be to the consent agenda, Commissioner?
Right.
Okay.
Right, but I think you do that when you
Go to
actually
consent?
get to
Yeah.
the consent agenda, yeah. Then anybody can ask for anything to be removed
Okay.
at
Right.
that point.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion with the recommended change by county manager.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Unanimous approval with Ray? All right, we had a yes, so it's 6-0 approval. All right, now. All right, we've approved that. Now, I guess we need to approve the general agenda as with the changes. Well, we've just done that. All right, I got you. Okay, now we're gonna move into the consent agenda, and I will read the consent agenda. Approve the minutes from the January 16th meeting. 2, approve a resolution approving the Bulloch County Board of Health's environmental fee schedule. 3, approve a resolution to establish a special streetlight district for Bridgewater subdivision. 4, approve the appointment of Patrick Wook to the Coastal Area District Development Authority for a term of 2 years from January 1, 2024, ending December 31, 2025. Number 5, approve the purchase of Lion custom gear from NAFCO in the amount of $17,165. 6, approve the purchase of 2 Continental extractors from Wholesale Commercial Laundry Equipment in the amount of $26,222. 7, approve services from Aviation Maintenance for repairs and maintenance in the amount of $24,975. 8, approve I knew I was going to get mixed up on that one. Indemnification and hold harmless agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for an encroachment permit for the construction of a deceleration lane and paving of a portion of Alford Road at State Route 67. Approve the request for the Victims of Crime Act grant for the District Attorney's Office for the federal fiscal year 2024 in the amount of $104,453. 10, approve a resolution authorizing acceptance of roads in Magnolia Farm subdivision. 11, motion to approve repairs to damaged drain inlet boxes on roads of Windmill Plantation subdivision by Y Delta Incorporated in an amount of $24,600 to be funded by T-Splost. 12, motion to approve execution of a memorandum agreement with the University of Georgia Research Foundation, Inc., authorizing a management development program series conducted by the Carl Vincent Institute of Government. 13, motion to adopt a resolution for approval of a contract for acquisition of right-of-way for a federal or state aid project with the Georgia Department of Transportation for the S&S Greenway Phase 3 project. 14, motion to approve a master services agreement with MGT of America Consulting, LLC, for the performance of a workforce development study. We have 14 items here. We can vote on them collectively, or if you would like to remove one or more to go under new business, we can certainly do so.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move line item number 4 from the agenda to new business for discussion, please.
Okay. Anything else? Then I need a motion to change the consent agenda as modified.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion? Show of hands. And Ray, unanimous approval. Under new business, item number 1, the county engineer, Brad Deals, will discuss contract with Parker Engineering.
Good evening, Brad Deal, County Engineer. So this item is in reference to Clark Farm Road, which runs from US Highway 80 to Candler County line. This is northwest of Portal. Back in 2010, the county began acquiring some right-of-way for paving the road. It's approximately 1.7 miles long, and this contract includes doing some additional surveying. There was a property line survey that was done in 2010. This survey will collect some additional information so that the drainage can be designed, and also there's wetlands along the road that have to be delineated as well, and we'll have to get permits from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and also Georgia DOT for paving the road. So this contract includes everything to produce the construction plans we'll need for putting the project out to bid. And We had estimated $150,000 for the design for the project, so this proposal came in below that at $125,000. So if you have any questions, just let me know.
Any questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Make a motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, second. Discussion? None. All of those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Now, moving item number 4 on the consent agenda to item number 2 under new business, I will read it again. Approve the appointment of Patrick Wook to the Coastal Area District Development Authority for a term of 2 years from January 1, 2024, ending December 31, 2025.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, before we move on, Commissioner Mosley did vote yes on the last one.
Thank you. Commissioner Rushing, would you like to?
I would. I had a lady, she's in the audience. I ain't gonna call her name. I don't know if she wants me to or not. She called today and wanted to know about the appointment to the Coastal Area District Development Authority. And, she just said she wanted to be clarified on what it was. And, I've got a letter here in my hand from the fellow that held that position, Mr. Brian Burke. I'm just gonna read it. That way you'll understand. It's better than me trying to explain it. Way back in 1993. He was asked to serve on the Coastal Area District Development Authority. For the next 30 years, I have served and have seen many businesses served by the CADDA, from the SBA 504 loans to EDA revolving loan funds to SBA Community Advantage loans. Our borrowers have had a variety of opportunities with the CADDA. With that being said, I wanted to let you know that I am resigning from the board position of 12/31/23. I have already recruited a replacement for my board position, Mr. Patrick Wook, who heads up the Georgia Southern Business Innovation Group. He would be a great in this role, and he understands the CADDA and can bring to our community going forward. Patrick's information, the website and all that. Many thanks, highest regards, Mr. Brian Burke. And Mr. Brian Burke served, and I've talked to several people, and he's thought very highly of. He's held that position for 30 years, and I just wanted to make the point. I wanted to explain what he done to start with, because it's the Coastal Area District Development Authority. And I just wanted the people to know why he wanted to appoint him, and it's in our hands, but I just wanted everybody to understand that. So I'll let any other commissioners say whatever they need to before we move forward.
All right, any other commissioners have any comments?
This is we're not appointing this gentleman, we're giving him as a nomination to the CADDA, is that correct?
My understanding is,
Akins?
Yeah, that's correct. The way it was explained to me, you make a nomination, the CADDA then either accepts or rejects that nomination, and they typically accept it because it's usually done this way, where they're in support of whoever you're nominating. And then they send it to the Coastal Regional Commission, who actually makes the appointment. So it's the CRC, the Coastal Regional Commission, who actually makes the final appointment.
And to clarify, this is a regional appointment. This is a recommendation from us. It's a regional appointment for this position. And that can.
Right, well, it's a recommendation from you as the Bulloch County.
Right.
For a position on the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
right, anything else, any questions?
Let me just add this, Mr. Chairman. I've looked at the bylaws and anybody who's on the board is required to have a business or employment relationship within the region
Okay.
that appointed the person to the board. And I think that means the the Coastal Regional Commission.
Right.
They're required to have a business or an employment relationship within that region, which involves, a number of counties, so.
Okay. And that was the point to make, it involves a lot of counties, it's a regional appointment. And just because we appoint him doesn't mean they're going to accept this appointment, is that correct? Or we suggest him, not.
Well, right, they're not required to, but I think they probably will because they were on board. I talked to the executive director, and he's in favor of Dr. Wook being appointed.
Okay.
He thinks he's very well qualified,
Okay.
as does Brian Burke.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, then I'm going to seek a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept Mr. Wook as the nominee for the position.
Second.
The motion, second. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. All right, it is, raised vote is yes, so a motion carries by the 5-1 vote.
6-1.
Hmm?
Is there a vote in opposition?
Yes. Well, he raised his hand. All right. Mr. Wooten is approved by 5-1 vote. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda, how many signed up to speak? 4. I'm trying to time a break.
I appreciate one.
Hmm?
I would appreciate one. I said I'd appreciate a break if you time me one.
You know, I hate to do it. No time is a good time to break, but we've been here for almost 2 hours, and I think now would be as good a time as any. It's actually 7:18. At 7:25, we will start our meeting again, if that's okay with everybody.
I have a question. I think we approved the consent agenda, but I'm not sure that we actually approved the remaining 13 items on the consent agenda, so I just want to make sure that we do that for the record.
Right. And I apologize. It's, I thought we did.
I don't think we did.
No, I messed you up. I tried to move line item forward. My fault.
You got it?
Yeah, you read the items.
We just need to approve the remaining 13
All right.
items on the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll accept the motion to approve the other 13 items.
So moved, Mr.
So
Chairman.
moved. Second, discussion. All those in favor, show of hands. And Ray voted. All right. Yes, unanimous approval.
Okay.
7:25. Jeff, you want a motion to take a break?
Joyce Ellis Harbison.
Go on down to the next one.
Joyce Ellis Harbison.
One more time.
Joyce Ellis Harbison.
All right, we'll move on.
Public comments. Cassandra Michael. All right. Sandra Butler.
Hi, I'm Sandra. It's been a couple of years since I've been here, but I'm wanting to get an update on the paving of High Tower Road. We were verbally promised that it would have been paved by now, well, really by April of 2023. We're now approaching almost April 2024, and the only results we've had that I've seen on that road is just a few surveying little stobs up. So for 45 years, you know, we're still here with lost petitions and all, trying to figure out what's going on, Mr. Thompson, in Bulloch County.
I can answer that if you want me to,
Sure.
or if the chairman. We're still working on the right-of-way acquisition. We've got a few parcels left, and we're probably, well, I don't want to say any more than that, other than we're still working on the right-of-way acquisition.
But
So we hope.
I think we have a right to know the other part that you don't want to say.
Right.
I mean, for
I'll be glad to.
45 years, we deserve that. My ancestors, my family members, who are just gone
Give me your phone number, and I'll be glad to call you tomorrow and tell you exactly where we are with it.
because I've heard this about the 912
Okay, and pardon me, what's your name again?
Sandra Butler,
Okay,
912 682 4896.
okay. I'll call you in the morning.
Okay.
If you're are you available in the morning?
I'll make sure I'm available. What time?
Okay.
What time?
9 o'clock?
9 o'clock is good.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I'm hearing all of this about the zoning and, you know, everybody's getting approved for this, approved for that. And it's like, what is going on? Because I'm in tears. I'm trying to hold it back. I'm really trying to hold back these tears because, like I said, my ancestors and family members who grew up on that road, they deserve much better than this.
We're working on it. It's all, you know, it's always a slow process. We've got the majority of the deeds.
But then I was even told that Josh Smith Road was going to be added into the funds for Hightower. And why?
Well, we'll talk about all that tomorrow. Brad, are you available tomorrow at 9, by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. Brad and I will call you in the morning.
Okay, because I talked to Brad a as a matter of fact, a week ago? I mean, I just want to know, what is it going to take? And everybody on that road, there's not that many residents. And like I said, the majority are minorities, Black and Hispanics. And, it makes me wonder, what is going on? For 45 years?
We haven't been working on it for 45 years, Ms. Butler.
No, but you've had lost petitions here in Bulloch County.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, but no, we've only been working on this.
On him on that. Because for 45 years now, there have been, I think, how many, Ms. Crawford? The first petition's that your mother, who's now deceased, my sister-in-law.
Okay. Well, I can't address that. I don't know anything about any lost petitions, but I know about,
I recall Mr. Thompson, when we met in the hallway, a couple of years ago, you even, when I mentioned it again to you, you said, we got money, we need to pave some roads. Brad, you were in the hallway also. In fact, Mr. Thompson stopped you. And again, we're approaching 2024.
we'll call you in the morning at 9 o'clock.
All right, that's all that we have signed up, that wanted to speak under public comments, so now we're gonna move into staff comments. Any staff member have any comments that they'd like to make? Hearing none, any commissioners would like to make any comments? Last call. Hearing none, and I must now call for a motion to adjourn into executive session in accordance with the provisions of OCGA 54.3B2 and other applicable laws pursuant to the advice of County Attorney Jeff Akins for the purpose of discussing personnel and real estate. I ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion. All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. Unanimous approval, is the rest still with us? All right. So it is a unanimous approval that we are now in executive session. We appreciate y'all coming.